I just wanted to pop in here and give you some details around how I go about protecting my citrus through cold snaps here in my Austin, Texas garden. The number one reason that people lose their citrus trees is due to freezing weather. This is honestly something that I don't usually get to because we have such a mild winter. We're in between the Gulf Stream and those northern zones. We get some subtropical air that comes through here, so it stays very even keel until it isn't, and that's when I have to go into full action and cover my garden. So I stay quite busy during that time. Needless to say, I haven't done a very good job of documenting how I protect this citrus tree. I have 23 citrus trees growing in containers, and I have one that's growing in ground that's right behind me here, and it's very special to me. It's the Bloom Sweet grapefruit, also known as the golden citrus. Now this one has been in the ground since 2011, and if you are in the region, you might remember in 2021 around February 7th we had some very cold, icy, snowy weather for about a week. It was just kind of frozen solid. It was really catastrophic in a lot of ways. If you're new to the channel, I'm Scott from New Garden Road, always out here to inform, inspire, and elevate you. Encouraging biodiversity and restoring habitat is my mission, one garden at a time. You know, I've made videos in the past documenting the consequences of those cold temperatures and my strategy at the time for protecting it, which was just protecting the base at the graft. Last winter, we only got a freeze really in January, and it was into the teens for 3 nights. So significant. And what I did for the first time was I wrapped this tree. You can see it wrapped now. I've got some twine and some rope. My sister was here when I wrapped this up, and she commented that I really take after my dad, and I think that just means that I might tend to overdo things or over tighten things. A lot of times you'll see the light switch plates in my house are cracked because I just can't stop, you know. You got to make sure it's on there good. We refer to that as the black burn, or you black burn it. But regardless, what I did here was to make sure that I could take this tree, which has grown to probably twice the size of what it was last winter, and essentially kind of fold it up upside down. And that enabled me to wrap it more effectively with some frost cloth. And I did 2 layers of a medium duty frost cloth. That's what I had. I went all the way down to the ground, trapping the ground heat. So from the ground all the way to the top of this tree, it was covered in row cover. Lassoing it like this with the rope really helps to make it more compact, and you're better able to do that. If you need to add some supplemental heat, you can do that with something like incandescent string lights, or you know, maybe fashion it in some other way. Milk jugs filled with water can collect some passive solar radiation, and they'll slowly release that heat overnight, which will then be trapped by the row cover. Last year I just went above and beyond. I black burned it. All right, I wrapped it in twine, I wrapped it in Christmas lights, I wrapped it in row cover, I made a tent structure, I put 2 layers of frost cloth over that structure. Needless to say, when I unwrapped it, it was just fine. I mean, it looked great. And this year, we've had about a week in between what we're expecting to be a bit colder, you know, into more of the lower 20s. And more of a hard freeze situation. But what I'm planning to do is simply wrap it really well in the row cover. Maybe I will drop some lights in around it. I probably will. There's a couple of other things that I haven't necessarily done that I've read about, which would employ some earthing of the graft with mulch or with soil that can form a really physical barrier. And again, if it's got adequate moisture in that organic matter, that will accumulate solar radiation, which will help to insulate your plant overnight. Another thing that I've read about is you take the mulch at the base of the tree and you pull it away during the day so that the soil has better access to the sunlight and can absorb more of that heat. And then of course overnight you want to cover the mulch back up and wrap it and everything. I haven't gone to that extent, but those are some options for you if you've got a citrus planted in the ground, even if it's cold hardy. Even if it's a Satsuma mandarin that's maybe hardy to 12 degrees. When we're here in Central Texas, we really need to, I think, go the extra mile for our citrus trees and other tender tropicals along that line. And the reason being is we get this compressional heating where it can kind of surge, get 70, 80 degrees, and then it swings the other way, drops 60 degrees, and we're in the 20s. So you think about the vascular system of those plants, those leaves being open, photosynthesizing, respiring, then boom, they get a freezing temperature. So if you go take a hot shower and then you go outside on a cold day, or you jump in an ice bath, which a lot of people are big on, not me, then you can imagine it's just going to be more of a shock to your system. That might be good for human nature, you can debate that, but for your citrus trees, no. Not at all. All right, now directly behind me is the other way that I employ to protect my citrus trees that are in containers. For many seasons, I'd say about 9 now, I've got this high tunnel structure that I built for around $200 initially, with some 2x4s, some PVC conduit, and I've got 2 layers of frost cloth on there. The only supplemental heat that is inside is 3 runs of incandescent rope lights, probably around 36 feet or something like that, to supply just a little bit of warmth on the cold nights. Now there's the threshold when I see the forecast get down into the teens for an extended period, and this is why it matters the depth and duration of those freezing temperatures, because when you have something like this without a real active heat element, it's not a real greenhouse structure per se, then you have a limit that you can supply that heat and capture it, retain it overnight, and protect your plants. If this was covered in plastic, it would more efficiently trap that heat. If it had a heater in there and some air circulation, it would be a lot more sound to go overnight, say, getting down to 15 degrees or so like that. But in this case, for most winters, I can get by with this system. Occasionally, I brought all my container citrus trees into my living room. Not ideal situation. I do not like to do that. It's messy, it's a lot of work. It's not the greatest thing for the trees because they're not getting light. But that's what I did during the 2021 ice storm, and they were inside for about a week. I haven't lost a single citrus tree to freezing temperatures in 14 years. Given the erratic nature of Austin weather, keep your eye on the ball, have your preparations, your systems on hand. You can get through these events. Does it take a lot of commitment, tenacity? It certainly does, but I'm in it to win it with these citrus trees, and this season I had a wonderful harvest. The past year I was very diligent in feeding them and pruning them, taking care of them, and the ability to harvest fresh, real organic fruit in your backyard around the holidays and be able to mail that off to your family is really something special. It's rewarding to me. So all those seasons, all those winters, trucking them around in a hand dolly, which is how I move them, and that makes it remarkably easy. It's just worth it to me. A lot of people ask me what size container I grow them in. Generally a 16-inch diameter terracotta pot. Some of them are 18-inch. I don't really want to go any bigger than that because then the trees will be much heavier. They can get a little bit taller. I prune them throughout the season to kind of maintain their shape and size. I haven't done it yet, but there is a point at which you may have to consider doing some pruning of these structural roots on your citrus trees in containers, where you actually take them out of the pot, remove some of the soil, and take off some of those larger roots. Basically reduce the mass of the root ball, and at the same time you're going to reduce the canopy structure. So you're taking the tree and kind of shrinking it, and that would be somewhat similar to a bonsai technique to keep a citrus that gets larger in size in a smaller container. I'll probably be facing that with some of these selections over the next couple of years, but it's good to point out that there are citrus that are grafted onto dwarf rootstock, and I have one improved Meyer lemon that's on a dwarf rootstock, and it's been about 3 or 4 feet tall for 14 years now. Pretty amazing. And in comparison to that, I've got a Mexican key lime that I got the same year, and it's probably pushing 8 feet this year. So it's not on dwarf rootstock, and I have to kind of keep topping it back, but it's been happy throughout the season. It's produced for me, so I haven't taken any consideration of pruning those roots like I mentioned. Maybe you've only got one citrus tree. It's in a pot, it's growing on dwarf rootstock. Lucky you, piece of cake. You know, get you a dolly, get you one of those casters, a heavy duty plant tray with some wheels on the bottom. You can move that in and out of the house. You could put them in a sunny south facing window. You could get some indoor grow lights. That would be the way to go if you want to keep it inside on a more long-term basis. Here, I'm really facing about 8 weeks of dodgy weather when I really need to control the situation the best I can. So for me, I don't have the room in the house. It's just not convenient. I would have to put, make my whole like dining room a grow room, and my partner's really understanding, but that would be pushing it. Now check out more awesome gardening videos on my channel, like this video, and follow New Garden Road for weekly content. You can grow your own food. Keep it organic.